Here's a voicemail question I received. You can leave your questions at 219-2-DAVID-P 24 hours a day.
Hi, David. I'm really impressed by how good of a people person you are on your show, judging by how well you handle the maniacs who are on it. So I have a quick question. How do you handle people who are often late? I have a friend who is, and she took the cake recently by jerking me around on the phone for about 4 hours before bailing. The thing is, we really like each other, and we get along very well, so I don't really want to be mean about this. So how do you handle people who are late like this? Are you stern? Are you forgiving? Do you use humor? And how much are you willing to tolerate of that? How do you deal with that sort of thing?
So this is a very interesting thing. I can't stand lateness, and since having lived in New York City and in Boston, I have a new appreciation about the reality that sometimes it is a little more difficult unless you're willing to be very early to something to avoid being a few minutes late. So I admit I've been up to 5 or 7 minutes late to meetings at sometimes, over the last 3 years that I've been living in bigger cities. But generally speaking, I am on time. I plan. I will, whenever I make an appointment in my calendar, I will say, okay, the appointment's at 3. Let me look right now at the typical either traffic or public transit time. It's 20 minutes, great. 35 minutes before the appointment, my phone is going to go off, and that's the time I need to leave, right? And I do this with every appointment, and I take this very seriously. I'm relatively busy, so whenever I have a meeting, even if it's just a phone call, right? If another radio host says, hey, we should catch up, I will try to make an appointment out of that, just so I'm going to be responsible to them. We're all expecting to talk. So when people just forget or are late, it really is a thing to me. And generally what I do, I mean, when it comes to guests being late and not remembering, we try to be somewhat flexible, right? If it's the interview scheduled for noon, if it's 12:05 and we get a hold of them and they say, sorry, I was late, whatever, no problem, we start the interview. If it's 12:10 and we get them on the phone and they say, oh, the interview is now, I need 5 minutes to get online, and then we connect and they don't have their microphone plugged in. Whoa, almost knocked over my mug here, or whatever. We will just say, we're at the end of the window we allocated for this interview. We're now going to have to reschedule. It's very clear, right? This was going to be a 10-minute interview. We've allocated 20 minutes to account for lateness, setup, whatever. The window has elapsed. That's basically it. And generally, I think we stick to that.
We do, yeah. So for me, I just generally don't have to. I'm punctual. When I need to be somewhere on time, I'm there on time. I just don't really have to do that right now in my life. And I'm not having meetings all the time like Dave is. So It's just not something that really happens to me. I don't have to deal with other people being late. When I'm dealing with a friend and they are late, it annoys me. And of course, I can vocalize that to a friend, no problem. But it's usually just friends that I'm dealing with. And I say, what the F, man? What's your problem? You're keeping me waiting? I have no problem saying that.
So I've addressed me being late, and I've addressed stuff on the show. Now, when I have meetings with people, usually the way I handle it, and I recently had this. I had a meeting scheduled with someone for 5 o'clock, okay? 5:15, they say, oops, sorry, I'm trying to park now. Okay, well, fine. 5:30, they say, I'm almost there. At 5:35, I got up and left, okay? And when they finally strolled in and texted me at 5:43, this is 43 minutes late, I would mention. They texted me and saying, where are you? And I said, I had sort of budgeted an hour and I need to be somewhere else. And it seems we really weren't going to be able to talk much in 15 minutes. So I'm sorry, I'm glad to reschedule with you. And generally what I will do is if it's any kind of business related thing, if there's some kind of lateness or no call, no show or whatever, I'm willing to reschedule one time. And after that, I just basically say, this is not someone, what kind of business am I going to do with this person if twice in a row, they just can't make it to a meeting, it doesn't make sense. With friends, it depends on who it is. People, when I know someone tends to be late, I'll just deliberately start showing up late, knowing that they're likely to be late, and it usually works out okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you have a friend who is just habitually late, you can kind of tell them to show up earlier than they're supposed to. Normally, you can be late. There's some wiggle room there, I think. But yeah, I'm very punctual, Dave, myself. Would you agree with that?
I would agree. And my tolerance for lateness, like yours, is relatively low for most of this nonsense, no doubt about it.